There are people in the prison today who are not guilty of crime. Some people in the prison are there because of being caught in the wrong place or due to an alliance with the wrong person or the wrong people. Good parents don't always produce good children. Sometimes it is the good parents that produce the worst children. Why? Because life is a constant battle of influence. And those who don't master the game of influence often become victims to those who do. The harsh reality is that you can have fantastic ideas, good intentions, good connections, skill, position, and many other things, and still end up wretched. Reason being that all of these valuables have one remote control: your mentality. In other words, your life moves in the direction of the mental software running on your inside. And that mental software is a product of long-term influence in your life. That software defines the way you interpret life, the way you react to issues, the things you take action about, the things you ignore, the things you accommodate, and the things you postpone. And all of those things in turn constitute a wheel that propels your life in a particular direction. The thing is, your mental programming is not static, it is fluid. It flows in the direction of your dominant influence per time. It changes depending on what you have sustained exposure to. Now, this is good news and it is also bad news. The good news is that if you don't like what your life feels like, if you don't like the current trajectory of your life, you can intentionally change what your life feels like by shifting from what you have been influenced to in the past. You can change the dominant influence in your life. You can change what you continually hear, see, and say. And when you do that, you will find that your motives and your routines will change. And once these two things change, your life will also flow in a different direction. The bad news is that, one, if you have the right software already running and you don't intentionally guard the influence that produce that software, the pressure of success can reprogram you and take you off course. The second bad news is this: as a parent, your children do not inherit the mental software that runs on your inside automatically. In other words, proximity is not necessarily connectivity. For your children to have the same software running inside of you, you must intentionally program that. You must also give them exposure to the people and the things that have created that software inside of you. This is why good parents are so assured that their children are doing well, only to wake up one day and find that who they called their children have become strangers. Every one of us is a product of sustained exposure. The things you keep seeing and hearing over time become etched in your subconscious and become the software that you navigate life with. That software stipulates what you expect from life. It stipulates what you express continually and what you suppress habitually. So I ask, what software runs your life? You can tell by looking at the recurrent circumstances in your life. You can also tell by looking at how you react and the things you say by reflex during moments of pain and disappointment. I ask again, what is your own story? What is that thing that has is studied all around your own life story. Is it positive and or is it negative? If it is negative, you can do something about it. You can consciously reprogram yourself to move out of that line. And if it is positive, you must know that it will not remain like that unless you consciously guard it. It is very, very important to have that at the back of your mind, that your mind will not always run like this unless you consciously do something to ensure that it does. So you need to learn how to play the game of influence, because as long as you live, there will always be a tussle of influence over you. The bottom line of what I'm saying today is become intentional about the dominant influence in your life and in the life of those that God has placed in your care. Be conscious about your emotional attachments, your spiritual attachments. Be cautious of the things you pay attention to first thing as you wake up and the things you pay attention to last thing before you sleep. All of these things contribute something to the mental software that runs inside of you and inside of the people that you know God has placed in your care. Be a master in the game of influence and not a victim.